Assalamu alaikum, dear students. In this video, we will continue working with Chapter 7, Fractions 1, Part 3. At the end of this video, students will be able to identify fractions with the same denominator or like fractions, compare two fractions. Materials we are going to use are a pen, a draft paper, Math Practice Book Edition 2019, Your Enjoy Mathematics Textbook Edition 2013. Now let's introduce like fractions. Let's take two pies of the same size and divide them into the same number of parts. The fraction that represents the dark brick color in the first pie is 1/4, and the fraction that represents the dark brick color in the second pie is 3/4. The pies are both split into 4 pieces and the fractions share the same denominator. We say that the two fractions are like fractions. On the other hand, let's introduce unlike fractions. Let's take two pies of the same size, but each is divided into different number of parts. The fraction that represents the dark green color in the first pie is 4/8, and the fraction that represents the dark green color in the second pie is 2/4. The pies are split into a different number of pieces and the fractions have different denominators. We say that the two fractions are unlike fractions. Now let us compare two fractions. Let's compare first like fractions. For example, compare 5/8 and 7/8. We will take two rectangles of the same size and divide them into 8 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then shade 5 columns out of 8 in the first rectangle and 7 columns out of 8 in the second rectangle. Notice that in the first rectangle we shaded less columns than in the second one. Since 5 is less than 7, then 5/8 is less than 7/8. So to compare like fractions, it's enough to compare their numerators. Now let us solve the application. Arrange 2/15, 7/15, and 13/15 in ascending order. Please pause the video and try to solve the application. Solution. Since 2 is less than 7 is less than 13, then 2/15 is less than 7/15 is less than 13/15. In fact, it is enough to compare their numerators because the denominator is the same. In conclusion, A less than C is equivalent to saying A/B less than C/B, with A, B, and C natural numbers and B different from 0. Now let's compare unlike fractions. For example, compare 7/8 and 3/4. Let's take two rectangles of the same size, but each one is divided into different number of columns. The first one is divided into 8 columns, and the second one is divided into 4 columns. Now, can we change the fraction 3/4 into another one having the same denominator 8? Remember that 8 is a multiple of 4. Then the LCM of 8 and 4 is 8. The answer is yes, of course. we can multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. 3 times 2 is equal to 6, and 4 times 2 is equal to 8. That is, we transformed it into another rectangle of the same size but with 8 columns. Now 7 over 8 and 6 over 8 are now like fractions. They share the same denominator, which is 8. Therefore, 3 over 4, which is equal to 6 over 8, is less than 7 over 8. To compare two unlike fractions, change to like fractions first, then compare. Now let us solve the following application. Compare 1 over 3 and 5 over 7. Please pause the video and try to solve the application. Solution. First, change the two fractions to like fractions. The LCM of 3 and 7 is 21. Hence, multiply the denominator 3 by 7 to get 21. Remember that whatever we do to the denominator, we've got to do to the numerator. So multiply 1 by 7 to get 7. 7 over 21 is a fraction equivalent to 1 over 3 and having denominator 21. Now multiply 7 by 3 to get 21. Also, whatever we do to the denominator, we've got to do to the numerator. So multiply 5 by 3 to get 15. 15 over 21 is equivalent to 5 over 7. Now, 7 over 21 and 15 over 21 are two like fractions. So, 7 over 21 is less than 15 over 21. Because 7 is less than 15, then 1 over 3 is less than 5 over 7. Before you move on, be sure to do the exercises in this assignment. Review page 93, comparing fractions from the textbook. Homework. Exercise 19b and exercise 20, page 100 from the textbook. Summary. Fraction can be a decimal fraction like 7 over 8 or non-decimal fraction like 2 over 9. Equivalent fractions like 5 over 20 and 1 over 4. A reducible fraction like 15 over 17. Like fractions, for example, 4 over 7 and 10 over 7. Unlike fractions, for example, 14 over 8 and 5 over 6. To compare unlike fractions, change them into like fractions, then compare. 10 over 45 is greater than 9 over 45, then 2 over 9 is greater than 1 over 5. Thank you for watching.